Day 5, Tuesday. Ehi. Police headquarters, Tuesday, 3:14 a.m.
I took a look around your head, and I discovered something. Something about the new Cyclops serial killings. Apart from Ota, there are 4 victims. Shoko Nadami, Renju Okiura, Iris Sagan, and So Sejima. Who was responsible for these murders?
Who indeed?
Shoko was stabbed by Renju with an ice pick. Renju was strangled to death by Iris. So cut open Iris's body. But who shot So? It was you. In other words, all of these murders were committed by different people. There wasn't just one killer. That's how it looks on the surface, anyway. But that's not the truth, is it? There's only one culprit. One person. And that person is...
It's you. Whoever you
Yes,
are.
you. The person in front of me right now.
You're blaming the commander of Abyss for this?
No, not Boss. The person inside Boss's head.
Can you at least try to make sense?
All right, I'll explain. You know about the abandoned chemical plant in Kawasaki? There's a prototype sync machine there. You use that device to swap around bodies one by one.
How do you know that, Nate?
In other words, the entire egg ends up being replaced. Mind, consciousness, memory, they are traded. Switched.
But this Date never learned that information.
I don't know where it started, but at some point, you got into Shoko's brain. Then, you got into Renju's. And got rid of Shoko's body. After Renju was Iris. You strangled Renju using Iris. After that, into So. Who you used to kill Iris and Ota at the cold storage warehouse. Now, you're in Boss's body. Inside her head.
I see. If you know that much, then I have nothing left to hide. Yes, I am the culprit behind the new Cyclops serial killings. I guess you can call me the new Cyclops killer.
Who are you? We'll save that for last. Give me the details of each crime first.
Before I do, there's something I want to hear from you. How did you know about the prototype sync machine? And not only that, you also seem to know what the sync machine is truly capable of. Why is that?
That's...
Regaining your memories, are you? Human memory is fractal. If you retain even a single piece of it, it's possible to recreate the whole thing. Pieces of memories are like roots that grow into every corner of the brain, gradually, slowly, taking its time. I imagine the same thing is happening in your brain right now.
A fractal is a figure with self-similarity. Allow me to explain. See this? Whichever fragment you cut, you will see a similar shape. The whole is made up of its similar parts. This is called a fractal figure.
I see.
Memories in the brain are similar. That is what he is explaining. He is claiming that from a few pieces, you can rebuild the memory.
I knew about the prototype from regaining my memory. Is that right? No, that's not it.
Parallel worlds exist.
Okay, who the hell are you?
Saito. Saito Sajima. Congressman Sajima's son.
What?
I researched Saito thoroughly, but I cannot find any images of him on the internet. He is listed on the family register, but I cannot find any photographs.
Okay, well then who was inside Iris during the interrogation Sunday?
That was me.
You imitate her well. From the way you talked and your body language, it was like the real Iris. Earlier, too, you almost had me fooled. Your imitation of Boss was perfect.
Yes, there's a reason for that. Let me define some terms first. A person's memory and sense of self. Let's call that personality. It isn't quite the right word, but it'll suffice. Now, transferring that personality into someone else's brain, let's call that parasitism. The one transferring is the parasite, the one being transferred into is the host. Are you with me so far? Moving on. Even after the personality exchange is complete, the host's memory isn't completely lost. About 1% remains in the brain. So, a parasite could use that 1% to imitate the language and behavior of the host. That's how I knew about the warehouse and Sunfish Pocket, by the way. Thanks to Renju and Iris's remaining memories.
We'll continue, I guess.
I'm telling you, it was me. Why are you making me repeat myself?
That means the Somnium I entered on Sunday.
That's right. It was me.
How? How does he know about the original Cyclops killer? And something else was troubling me.
What's going on here?
Continue.
Fine. I still have time.
Time?
You'll see. So, where do you want me to start?
Just past midnight on Tuesday. Shoko was killed on Friday. We think of that as day 1. Today's day 5. What was Saito doing those days? I decided to ask him. We'll start from the beginning then. Take it from the top.
Like you guessed, my personality was in Shoko, Renju's ex-wife. That made calling Renju easy. I need to talk to you about something. He came over without question. I think it was around 4 p.m. I had him meet me at the chemical plant. I made Renju go to sleep. Synced, switched personalities, and then stabbed Shoko's discarded body with an ice pick. I took Shoko to Bloom Park by car, using the old abandoned subway line. Must have been around 8 p.m. by the time I was finished. I tied up Shoko to one of the merry-go-round horses. After that, I used Renju's phone to send a Nile message to Mizuki. Then, I just waited for Mizuki to arrive.
Tell me about day 2.
Until next Saturday evening, my personality was inside Renju. My next target was Iris. I knew she would be suspicious if I asked her to come to Kawasaki, so I asked her to come to Sunfish Pocket first. I called her a little before 5 p.m., and she arrived just after 6. I greeted her, then convinced her to come with me. That's when Ota saw us. Anyway, I put her in the car, then headed to the chemical plant. On the way, I made her take a sleeping pill. I knew she might run once she saw where we were going. It was around 7 p.m. when I got there, and I wasted no time switching bodies. After getting Iris's body, I used a rolled-up apron to strangle Renju to death. Then I put his body in an empty oil drum I'd prepared earlier. I put that in the trunk of the car, then headed to Sunfish Pocket. But then, something I didn't anticipate happened. Waiting for the signal in Akiba, someone knocked on the window of the car. It was Ota. He asked me something about being able to drive. He was surprised, to say the least. I didn't have time to waste on him. But I couldn't risk him finding the oil drum.
Ota almost saved the day.
Plus, if word got around that Renji's car was spotted driving around Akiba, that would foil my plans. So, I came up with a lie. I told him that I didn't have a license, so he had to keep it a secret. That's what that thing referred to in Ota's Nile messages, by the way. And just like that, I managed to escape a bad situation and headed to Sunfish Pocket as planned. The rest went exactly as you already figured out.
I guess tell us about day 3 then?
Sunday morning, I had a recording or some such thing scheduled. Oh, I am, of course, referring to Iris.
I mean,
I didn't
you know,
want
Saito,
to
you could be like a
I
recording
decided to attend.
artist too
as
or
planned.
something.
I went to Lemniscate and performed my job. And when I left, I ran into you, Date. To be honest, I was a little surprised. Just the previous night, I was a parasite in the body of Renju. I didn't think Ota had seen me. So,
Ota
of course,
sees
I didn't
all.
expect to see you there so soon. You were on to me, but there was nothing I could do about that. If I ran, it would only increase your suspicion. So I decided to play my role. The interrogation began around 8:20 p.m., is that right? Then you synced into my mind.
Saw some terrible things. Horrible, really.
But you didn't get what you were looking for, did you? As a result, you had no choice but to release me. I didn't want to go home right away. I knew there might be police waiting for me. That would make it difficult to sneak out at night. And that would put my plan in jeopardy. So I asked you to take me to Marble. I tried to find an opportunity to run, but then another unexpected event occurred. I got a Nile message from Ota. I knew I could
Ota's here
use
to
him.
ruin the day.
So I told him I needed his help and to meet me at Marble. He did as I instructed him to do. After that, I got into the van with Ota. But because his presence was unnecessary, I asked him to stop at a convenience store to buy me something to drink. When he was gone, I took his car and drove to my parents' house where I used to live. Yes, the Sajima residence. Of course, I knew I couldn't just walk up and ring the doorbell. Hello, Father, it's been a long time. I was also in Iris's body at the time. But I thought I could use that to my advantage. So I pushed on the intercom and sure enough, my dad invited me inside. I told him this. I want you to come with me. There's something I need to show you. He was quiet for a while, but
show you
eventually
something.
agreed and got into the van with me. We arrived at the prototype sync machine around 11:50 p.m. By the time I was in the body of Sosajima, it was a new day.
Continue?
This was yesterday, early Monday morning, past midnight. In my new body, I drugged Iris, put her in the van, and drove to a new location. Okiura Fishery Cold Storage Warehouse. I arrived around 1, then prepared for the show for a couple hours. Of course, when I say show, I mean dismembering Iris. Because of the temperature in the warehouse, it took longer than I expected to prepare, but... well, you saw it in the video. Of course, I didn't anticipate Ota would show up. What does that make it? 3 times that brat has showed up unexpectedly?
He has a habit of that.
That annoyed me to no end, and I took that out on him. Dressing him up in the polar bear was an impromptu plan on my part. I didn't mean to make you think he was the killer. I just wanted to throw a wrench into the investigation. Didn't matter if you found out or not. This all happened Monday morning. I left the warehouse around 3:30 a.m.
Alright, you crazy bastard. What about the last day, Monday?
There isn't much to talk about on Monday. Before noon, I used my old man's body to call this one Boss. You might not know this, but she and my father go back about 6 years. The two shared a terrible secret. Hinting at that was enough to get the boss to come running to me immediately. I injected her with a sedative, then brought her body to the chemical plant. I synced with her, exchanged our bodies, and after blowing my father's brains out, I cut his body into pieces. I stuffed the meat into a vase I'd brought earlier, then drove back to my house.
I guess, yeah, we did find him in pieces in this one, too. Continue, I suppose. I just spoke with Grayson, no sign of remorse. I was trying to keep my anger from boiling over and kept asking him questions. Why did you take out your victim's eyes?
You know all about the prototype sync machine, don't you? That should
Yeah.
explain it.
I knew. The prototype sync machine differed from the one at Abyss in a few key ways. The machine at Abyss is more sophisticated. Nano cables from the sync gear enter through the gap between the eyeball and the socket. They then travel down the optic nerve canal to the brain. But the prototype sync machine isn't so advanced. To perform a sync, you need to remove the left eye, manually. The subject and the syncer have to remove their eye from the socket, otherwise the cables cannot enter the brain. Of course, even with the eye removed, severing the connection to the brain isn't necessary. The extracted eyeball still has the optic nerve and blood vessels connected. After a sync, the eye is supposed to be replaced back in the socket. Sorry, I forgot to read it there. It's supposed to be safe. Side effects are rare. Unless the nerve or blood vessels are damaged somehow, replacing the eyeball isn't too difficult.
Of course, I
I
don't
wish you
really
would just
care
play
about
it all instead of
eyes.
making me press the button again.
I don't need them. All I cared about was exchanging bodies with the sync. And for that, I needed to remove the left eye.
Why didn't you just put the eyes back when you were done?
That's obvious. Once I was finished transferring into a new body, the old one was of no concern to me. Why would I bother replacing the eye?
I mean,
I was just going to
fair, I
get rid of it
guess.
anyway.
So where are the eyes?
Choko's is in Renju. Renju's is in Iris. Iris's is in Dad. Dad's is in Boss. Their stomachs, I mean.
You sick bastard.
Yes, I ate them. Immediately after exchanging personalities.
How horrible.
Why did you display the bodies the way you did?
To harass you.
Like, motive should be the last question we ask.
I wanted to bring out the hatred in you. That's why I called Mizuki to Bloom Park. That's why I streamed
Why me?
Iris's murder. Because they were important to you, weren't they? I wanted
why
you to
me?
feel cornered, trapped.
Wait, what did Date do
I
to
wanted
you?
to punish you, Kaname Date.
Why didn't the sync victims resist after waking?
Ah, the prototype sync machine has a special feature. It administers a strong dose of sedatives to the original body, and a stimulant to the host after a sync. That kept them docile.
But what is your motive in all of this?
Homicide is my hobby. I have a tenacity for it, what can I say?
I mean, there's a lot of
Of
hobbies.
course, it was also necessary.
I don't think
to make
that's
sure
one of
people
them.
kept their mouths shut. If I took over someone's body, they would know about my crimes. I couldn't risk them reporting me, so I killed them. It was also a matter of revenge. Against you. It's personal. That's why I chose people close to you as targets. Well, except for my father, of course. That was personal to me. But don't ask. It's embarrassing.
Why
This
me?
series of murders was like a journey for me. You know, traveling through bodies to finally reach the end. That's the thing about traveling. You always wind up in the same place, don't you? Where do you think that is? Your home. A trip is only complete once you return home. The same goes for me. When I return home, my travels will come to an end. So I'll be needing it back. My body.
What?
You
Excuse me?
stole my body. You took it from me 6 years ago. That's why I want revenge.
What are you talking about?
You have no idea what it was like inside my own head. I miss it. I miss my brain, Date. No matter how many people I killed, it never worked. I never felt happy. I feel miserable.
You mean?
He was born with a brain dysfunction. Due to damage to the posterior pituitary gland, he was unable to properly secrete oxytocin.
Oh, that's right. My old body. How are you finding it,
Excuse me?
Date?
This body is yours.
That's what I've been telling you!
I don't have the same oxytocin deficiency you did.
That is because I regularly supplement it. They must have increased your dosage too much.
No, but the person who had this disorder was number 89, the original Cyclops killer.
That is what I believed as well. But we must have misunderstood. Pewter did not specify who exactly was imprisoned. Only that one of the original culprits responsible was currently in prison.
That's strange. That would mean number 89 is the previous chairman, Rohan.
That must be it. Rohan is a parasite inside number 89's brain. Pewter must have known that.
No way.
I was confused, as am I, Date. I didn't understand any of it.
Let us determine the specifics using Saito as our starting point. Whose brain was he in before Boss?
So Sejima.
And before So?
Iris. And before that, Renju. And before that, Shoko.
And before Shoko?
Were you in
I was a
before Shoko?
parasite inside Rohan's brain 6 years ago until last year. I'd lost most of my memories. I was a shell of a man. They housed me in a special hospital, but I still had those fragments of my mind left, just as I explained earlier. From a single piece, you can recreate the whole. I took my time, slowly regaining my memories. 1 year ago, I remembered everything. I left the hospital and immediately sought out Shoko Nadami. I got her body, and she was in Rohan's. When she saw herself in the mirror, she lost her mind. She was confused, panicking, running up the emergency staircase, and then...
That's why Rohan committed suicide.
After that, I spent a year perfecting my plan.
Where
Using
was
Shoko's
Rohan?
body. I spied on you all this time. That's why I know everything about you.
Who were you before
In
Rohan?
there, in that body you are operating right now, in that skull, my personality lived there.
Wait, hold on. If what you're saying is true, what about my personality?
It was in Rohan.
I'm not Rohan!
Correct. It is just as he explained earlier. Number 89 was in Rohan's body. In other words,
I'm number 89?
Am I real?
I was Falco. Date was Falco, who was also Uncle, Tommy's boyfriend, and the assassin hired by the Kamakuras. Keep talking.
Sorry, but time's up.
You mean
I want
time's
my
up?
body back. It's quite simple. Sync with me and stay inside my mind for more than 6 minutes.
And if I refuse?
I know that you won't. I know it.
Huh?
Date, look! This is streaming live!
Oh,
Damn you!
If you give me back my body, I will give you the location. Oh, and of course, it isn't the chemical plant in the Kawasaki district.
well, that would be too
Ava,
easy.
Where's the source?
it is being routed through numerous IPs. I cannot identify the source.
Computer, contact headquarters, now!
Got it!
Now, what will you do? Will you agree to my request?
If I refuse, he blows up Hitomi. But if I accept, he probably blows up Hitomi.
Doctor, I'm hurt. Don't you care about what happens to her? Do you understand the gravity of this situation? A bomb is strapped to her body.
I guess we have to.
Date,
See? I knew you wouldn't refuse. I know you well, don't I, Date?
Police headquarters, Tuesday, 4:28 a.m.
I did it. I did it. I'm back. I got it all back.
Hey, where's Hitomi?
All right. I'll tell you as promised. Boss's house. However, it might be too late by now.
What? Why?
Return my body and I'll tell you the location.
I guess he did hold up his
That's
end of
what
the
I
deal.
said. I didn't lie. I kept my promise.
You
Crazy
bastard!
bastard.
You're the one who injured that body. It's your own fault, really.
Damn it!
Be seeing you.
We'll get him, Iba.
Date, are you alright?
Iba's voice barely resonated. My eyesight was hazy, a heap of broken images. Sweat was building on my palms. It felt like my throat was closing up and I was struggling for breath. In my ears, the rushing blood of my heartbeat was the only sound.
Everyone's dead.
Shoko, Renju, Iris, Ota, Hitomi, Boss. The flesh remains, the mind is lost.
I couldn't do anything. Saito had me right where he wanted me. Nothing. Nothing.
Parallel worlds exist.
It's true, a mysterious voice that sounds like Iris. At least in this it seems to be. The words suddenly echoed in my head. I couldn't remember who or where or why. But I thought that if there really was such a world, and me in that world, I is another.
Could I have had a better future?
I prayed that I could. I felt my consciousness sink into a black abyss. Alright, well, that was a bummer. So far, Mizuki's ending seems to be the only one where everything was wrapped up, except for the fact that Sosajima's consciousness was still inside of Iris. But, we brought Saito, we stopped Saito at least in that one. Let's see them in the Ota ending. So would have just gone on to boss like before, or no? So was still in Saito. No. Iris is saved in Ota's ending, and then that means that So is inside of Iris. But then So still ends up dead in that ending, so then he just must have went right to boss instead. Saito's in boss in the Ota ending. So is in Iris and Comatose. Saito's still on the loose in Ota's ending. As for Iris's ending, I have no idea where he ended up. I guess he's in 89. At least I think that's what it was implying from where the other one locked. Yeah, because he would have been in Renju, and then Renju got picked up by 89, so he's probably inside of 89. Who was actually Date. Well, considering there's no more splits, I can only assume that Annihilation route end. I can only assume that it'll take us back to where it locked the other time.